Rain poured down in steady sheets, tapping against the windows of one of the city's most upscale steakhouses. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of sizzling meat and polished arrogance. Conversations hummed between clinking glasses, laughter echoing off marble floors. Then came the voice, sharp, cold, and unmistakably dismissive. "Sir, you're not welcome here. Please leave, before we call security." All eyes turned toward the entrance, where an old man stood, soaked to the bone, his worn military cap trembling in his hands. He looked down at his shoes, embarrassed. "I just wanted to sit down for a minute," he murmured. The host leaned in, lowering his voice just enough to hide his cruelty behind a smile. "This is not a shelter, sir. You need to go." Around them, life in the restaurant continued as if nothing were wrong. No one moved, except one man. In the far corner, 6 men sat around a large table. They had short hair, broad shoulders, and a calm presence that spoke volumes. One of them, a man with a scar beneath his jaw, slowly set down his glass. He stood. The waiter froze, recognizing the insignia tattooed on the man's wrist. A trident and anchor, Navy SEAL, and then another man stood. And another, until all 6 were on their feet, silent as statues, eyes locked on the frail figure near the door. The restaurant fell completely still. A single step echoed across the marble floor as one of the SEALs walked toward the old man. His boots made no sound, but the weight of every gaze followed him. "Sir," he said, firm yet gentle, "are you Staff Sergeant Raymond Douglas?" The old man blinked, startled. "Yes. I was a long time ago." The SEAL snapped into a sharp salute. "It's an honor." The waiter backed away, stammering, I didn't know." "You didn't ask." The SEAL cut him off, voice low but charged. "You judged a man by his coat, not by his courage." Another SEAL stepped forward and gently took the old man's arm. "You're not leaving, Sergeant. You're dining with us." Tears welled in Raymond's eyes. "You boys don't have to do that." The first SEAL replied, "Yes, we do. Because you did it for us first." A hostess quickly cleared a chair. The 6 men helped Raymond to the head of the table like they were escorting a king. And in a way, they were. The waiter disappeared. Other patrons whispered, stunned by what they'd witnessed. But the story had only just begun. As the meal unfolded, the atmosphere shifted. The once polished conversations of the steakhouse faded into the background. At the center of it all, Raymond began to speak. Slowly at first, then with a quiet confidence. He told stories of Vietnam, of nights spent in the jungle, drenched in sweat and fear, of brothers who didn't make it home, of medals he never talked about because the real weight wasn't on his chest. It was in his heart. He didn't brag, he didn't ask for thanks. He just talked. And the SEALs listened, truly listened. One by one, the hardened warriors, men who had faced enemy fire, buried friends, and stared death in the face, began to tear up, not out of weakness, but reverence. They knew no matter how elite their training or how modern their weapons, they were standing on the shoulders of ghosts like Raymond. The past wasn't distant, it was alive in this room, in this moment, and for the first time in years, Raymond felt seen. Halfway through the dinner, the restaurant manager arrived, clearly informed of the unfolding scene. He approached the table nervously. "Sergeant Douglas, we'd be honored to cover your meal tonight, on the house." Raymond shook his head slowly. "I'm not here for a free meal, son. I just wanted a warm place to sit. I'm not trying to make trouble." One of the SEALs turned. "He didn't ask for a handout. He earned this." Another leaned forward. "Hell, we should all be paying him for this table." The manager stood straighter, eyes filled with understanding. "You're right. I'm sorry, Sergeant." There was no grand gesture, no applause, just a quiet acknowledgement of a man who had given more than most could imagine. The manager left with newfound respect, and the meal resumed, now steeped in even deeper meaning. Later, as the evening wound down, Raymond tried to slip out quietly, back into the cold night. He didn't want to impose. He never did. But before he could reach the door, the SEALs stopped him. "Where are you going?" one asked. "Back to the shelter," Raymond said, embarrassed. "It's not far." The man shook his head. "Not anymore. You're coming with us." Raymond blinked. "To where?" Home? Without a word, they gathered around him, shielding him from the rain with their jackets. They guided him outside, making space, not just in their vehicle, but in their lives. They didn't do it for a camera. There was no audience, no applause, just honor. Because real warriors don't forget the ones who paved the path. And on that quiet, rainy night, a forgotten soldier was reminded that his sacrifice still mattered, that the brotherhood he fought for hadn't died with time, that even in a world obsessed with youth and status, character still stood tall. Because respect isn't given by title, it's earned by sacrifice. And sometimes the loudest act of heroism is silence. If this story touched you, please consider subscribing to our channel, hit that like button, and drop a karma in the comments below.